In this tutorial, we'll review creating widgets in FinanceBoards that will connect to custom API. So let's click on the Widgets tab and create a new widget. Specifically for this exercise, we found Fixer.io, a website that gives a JSON API for foreign exchange rates. So let's start creating the widget. Add a widget name, let's say US dollar exchange rate, and the description. Next, on the configuration tab, paste the URL from Fixer.io. To retrieve the data, we will use this example URL. Take note that FinanceBoards is only over secure connections, so either add HTTPS on the URL or just remove HTTP and a colon sign. At this point, we can test the connection to make sure it's successful. So we have the date here, as we can see it, and everything is connected. For the design of the widget, first thing we can notice is that we don't need a ticker selection. The data is not stock related, so let's take this out. And then let's add a useful information here. The base in US dollars, and then we'll add also the date. We can see the date here, but we can also change the formatting. So let's add a FinanceBoards formatting options by clicking the control plus space bar, and here it is now with the month fully spelled. Next, let's try to display some of those exchange rates that we have here. So we go to rates, and then we choose Australian dollars. And here we can see it in the screen. We can also add the text beside. Let's add AUD. However, for this exercise, we would like to display all the exchange rates. As you can see, there are a lot of them here. We'll be showing the rates field. So let's take this out and instead create an HTML table. And then for each row of the table, we'll add iterating markups. In here, we'll give a name for the items that they're iterated. You can see the FinanceBoards pick up rates because it's an iterable property from the data set. So inside of the row, we'll add some data. First, we'll add item. Item is because we name it here, items. So you reference it on every line as item. And then the first field is the currency symbol. So here you can now notice the symbol is starting to display. So let's add now the second field, which is the currency. Okay, so if you look at the table, it displays the data. And let's make some visual enhancement. Let's change the color into light blue. Something else we'd like to do is add a line. So we will give a class. Let's choose TextWrite. We can also either use a formatting function here, like format, and then we need to specify a specific function like money. We can also choose to display 4 decimals. So let's select a different formatting. We'll add a couple more decimals and we'll prepend the dollar sign. Excellent. So I have now the table displayed. Excellent. For the table itself, there's also a style formatting option that we have here. So we can make it bordered with a highlight and also make it condensed, smaller, like this, so more data are being displayed. We can also drag it. For the footer credits, you can either remove them or it would be nice to give their website a credit. Optionally, we can also add a refreshing interval in seconds, but for our purposes, this works great as is. You can also take a screenshot for the thumbnail, and then we can save now the widget. If we go back to our dashboards, we can search for it and add to the dashboard. And here it is. We can also move it up and then save it again. Now if we refresh the browser, we can see the data is here at the top nicely displayed. And that was it for this tutorial.